Did you know that Delaware is comprised of only 3 counties, and those 3 counties make up the second smallest state in the entire United States of America? This state here in Delaware also only 44 towns. You would think with all that information that Delaware would be a really simple and easy place to choose where to live, right? Well, you know more than most, it's not. And Delaware is not the easiest place to choose where to live because there's so many different sub-communities and subdivisions and different little ecosystems that exist within it. So we created the zone system, a different way of looking at Delaware, the way that a Delawarean looks at Delaware. It's 5 zones separating by economic status, location, wants, needs, and ways to have fun. We're going to walk through them each, the pros and cons, where they're at, and why you should care. The 5 zones of Delaware. Let's get into it. Now I'm going to start with zone 1 and work our way down, but I do want to give some fair warnings that if you're looking at living in zone 3, you want to be careful. And if you're thinking of zone 4, understand they're at war right now. We'll get into that in a moment. Let's start with zone 1. Zone 1 is a common area for those that don't want to explore any other area of Delaware. They want to stay in this zone and they may die in this zone. That's a little bit dramatic, but zone 1 is just above the canal and connects us to Philly, to Maryland, even to Jersey. But this area comprises of Bear, Christiana, Newark, Newcastle, Wilmington, Hockessin, Claymont, Pike Creek, and all the like in an area that some would say is the best area in Delaware. The pros of this area are the high home values, the diversity in its food and things to do, as well as its central location to everything you may want to do within Newcastle County. Because most people that live in Newcastle County, which does comprise Zone 1 and Zone 2, as we'll get into, Zone 2 does not have the same feel as Zone 1, at least many in Zone 1 would argue that. And though Delaware does not have a big city, big metropolitan, if you want higher energy, if you want a bit faster moving, Zone 1 is going to be where you're going to want to be. And if you also want some of the nature, some of the fun places to go and see, the history, the art in Zone 1 is second to none throughout the entire state. There's a lot of pros to Zone 1, and if you just do a search on Google around Wilmington, you may get a headline or two that's off-putting. I'm telling you right now, come to Zone 1 and see for yourself. It's a beautiful area, and the cons of it are very few. Zone 2, we're passing just under the canal, and we're getting into an area that is a residential haven and a commuter's go-to spot. The next zone is awfully well known for a majority of it being taken up by a school district, the Appoquinimink School District. Appo, as most call it, who don't like to pronounce it or spell it. Zone 2 is flocked to. Imagine a little circle, kind of ovalish, in the central area of Newcastle County. Now, this is Townsend, Odessa, Middletown, the Blackbird Forest area, pretty much all the way up to the bridge, has become a new construction mecca. So many new communities that are bristling with value, bristling with amenities, things to do, and lifestyles galore. The con of this area has been the commercial side, the entertaining side hasn't necessarily kept all the way up. Now, it's a small con because between the new 301 highway that runs through it, the improving traffic systems they're trying to incorporate through downtown, and just the new businesses, new restaurants that are popping up in the area, I think Zone 2 is specifically for the person who's looking to relocate into Delaware, or someone from Delaware looking to get their second home, third home, the 2-story beautiful property out on the 3/4 of an acre. This is the property you're going to want in Middletown because it's also going to grow in value. Zone 2 is primed for more growth as more people move into Delaware, and as well as people still commute from Delaware to places like Annapolis, Alexandria, Virginia. I know that sounds crazy, a 2-hour drive, right? But people do it. And people that go right up the state into Jersey. Middletown will continue to grow, and if you're looking into that and you want economic growth while in an area that's seeing potential real progress in the fun field and entertainment side, I'd go Middletown. Now, we're going to skip Zone 3, but some warnings of anyone that wants to live in Zone 3. I'm going to give you some things to consider. Zone 5, this is the banjo side. This is the rural, the farmland. You want one Home Depot within 15 to 20 minutes. You want a construction store, a bank, and maybe some little pizza shop in your town. You want to have like a 15-minute drive to society. This is the place where you can get your acre of land and not have to spend $1 million grand for it. This area is comprised of Felton, Hartley. We can even get into places like Harrington, Bridgeville, Seaford, Georgetown, Greenwood, all the way down to Laurel. These are areas where you can get some farmland. You could even be in a nice community, but ultimately you're going to get the most bang for your buck if you're looking into Zone 5. The main cons will be you'll have to drive a little bit to get to some areas, and it's not hustling and bustling. But most people that want Zone 5 don't want that. So Zone 5 is beautiful, as well as exists in a state that's so drivable that the zone I'm about to talk about and the zone we're going to end in, Zone 3, are very, very much within reasonable distance of a date night or a fun day. Zone number 4 is our big crown jewel. It's the beaches. We stretch it down from about southern central Delaware, Broadkill area, down all the way past and through Fenwick Island into Ocean City, Maryland, which we kind of claim for our own. Lewis, Rehoboth, Bethany, Dewey, all the little beaches in between and bays that comprise it make up Zone 4, and it is at war with Zone 3. And we'll get into Zone 3 and what it comprises of at first, but on the map we'll see Zone 3 is slowly being pushed little by Zone 4 to take up more and more and more of this luxury space. And I can tell you right now where the secret spot to be if you're looking for value that will increase over time while it's also not paying $1 million up front. It's going to be Ocean View, Dagsboro, Millsboro, those areas. They're going to be the ones that grow. I'd say Millsboro's still in Zone 3 right now, but barely. It's still growing out. Zone 4 is expanding. The beach area, vacation area, the secondary home area, the retirement. It's a vibe. It's feeling more and more luxury by the day. There's so much to do, so many restaurants, boardwalks to walk. I'm not going to sit here and say anything more about it. If Zone 4 entices you, it comes with a higher price point. But I would advise this report if you are interested in it, because this Sussex County guide walks through all of the beaches and all the fun stuff. Quick download. Oh, also the link's in the description if you're watching this on mobile. Forgot you can't use a QR code. Zone 3. If you're thinking of living here, I have a warning to give to thee. It is homegrown. This is the spine of Delaware. We're stretching up to Smyrna. We're going through Dover. We're passing through Camden. We're going through Magnolia, Milford, Milton. We're talking some homegrown Milford, Delawarean areas. I said Milford, Delawarean. Delaware, Delawarean areas. This is where you're going to see the people who stand up and love their 302. And with that being said, sometimes don't love people from out of state. You'll hear them say, oh, out-of-state drivers are the worst, or out-of-staters are ruining our restaurants, or out-of-staters are doing this. That's typically what they're going to say, and this is the zone they typically live in. Now, this is an area, too, where you're also going to get a little bit of clickiness, because one pro or con is a lot of the areas have pride in their towns. Dover, where I'm sitting, a prime example. The Dover 2030 project is coming right down the pipe. This is a great one, by the way. Milford, they have an insanely great downtown, and all the restaurants are bustling and growing, and the people are amazing, and they're clicky a bit. So's Dover, so's Lewis, so are all the areas. A lot of Delaware is clicky with their own areas. You even get out in the Greenwood and they're like, we're from Greenwood, like type deal. So there's pride in these areas. So if you're coming from out of state, understand that. Try to learn the culture, learn what makes these towns themselves, what makes their events, what makes their history so beloved. Delaware's growing, and I love to see it. And Zone 3 has been a part of a lot of that growth. And they'd probably love to see you be a part of it too, if you also want to see, Delaware grow. Numbers-wise for Zone 3, though, it is a larger area, and your median income in this area per household traipses just between $72,000 for the whole area. Backtracking, where Zone 4, median household income sits right under $112,000. Zone 5 gets into $65,400 per year. Zone 2, we scrape up into the $80,000 mark at $81,450, and Zone 1 at $76,450 as the annual household income, all from the census.gov. And if you want more information on up-to-date information, you like this data, hit this QR code. This will actually take you to a different report. It's the Loft Report. The Loft Report is a Delaware real estate market update on everything from replacement updates to home value updates to what it costs to rent a home to what mortgages look like, and even the new things happening, hospitals, restaurants, every month updated. If you don't get this month's, I'll get you next month's. Every single month, I'll hand you a new one. Hit that QR code, and if you're looking at moving into Delaware, you can text me, Zones. Text my number, 302-503-6647. Text Zones, and I would love to hear what zone you're thinking is going to be the right one for you in your relocation and or move to Delaware. Almost spilled that. Have a great one.